What up, though? This is Knockouts and Three Counts. But before we bring you another episode of Podcast Gold, let me tell you about the homies over at Michigan's Finest. Do you ever find yourself trying to get yourself together and thinking, man, this is going to be a great night, but I'm looking for that little extra something? Well, check out our friends at Michigan Finest. If you are into medical marijuana, recreational marijuana, concentrates, vapes, anything of that sort, Michigan's Finest has got you covered. And as you can see here, it's all easily done by their website. It's all curbside, and you'll be in and out in 2 minutes. And they're family owned and operated, so customer service is their number one goal. And now, since they are rocking with Knockouts and Three Counts, use the code KO3MF. Yes, that's KO3MF. You get 10% off your entire order, but that does exclude featured items and items that are already on sale. But if you use that code, you're getting 10% off your items, and I promise you, either if you're looking for that big knockout or you're ready to hit the sheets for that 3 count, Michigan's Finest will get you together. Tell them Knockouts and 3 Counts sent you, and I promise you, you're going to be having a great night. Peace.
This is the Ring of Honor, a.k.a. Shane T, boy, the baddest champion you ever seen, boy.
This is Mr. Anderson.
This is good old JR Jim Ross, and you are listening.
You're listening to Knockouts and 3 Counts.
We got a new world champion!
That might be one of the craziest knockouts I've ever seen in my life.
Knockouts and 3 Counts is the podcast, baby! It's the real deal, baby!
Knockouts and 3 Counts starts now.
Ooh, what up, no? This is Knockouts and 3 Counts, and no, that ain't Chef Boyardee, that's Chef Troop in this motherfucker. It's the return of Bulletproof Troop, and he's not just dropping Warheads, he's dropping some badass Alfredo in this motherfucker. I'm hungry right now, but I'll get to some food after we get done chopping it up, because, man, do we got a lot to talk about. How the hell you doing, brother, man? How you been doing?
Fantastic. Like you said, I'm cooking dinner. Some homemade fettuccine chicken Alfredo with truffle in it, black truffle oil in it. Some super fire. I'm kind of a gourmet chef. As I train so much, I just need a ton of calories. So I cook a lot of like fire pastas and, got to keep this cake running.
I love pasta.
It's my first day back, like full day back at home. And I think I came home and had one full day here between WrestleMania and this last trip. So, like, between the 27th to, like, now, I've slept in my bed, bro, like, a few times. 4 or 5 times in, like, 3.5 weeks. When I leave tomorrow, I get to sleep in my bed tomorrow. But I perform in Orlando. Drive back, then I'm down to Miami performing again with CCW. I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm probably just going to show up and kick some people's asses. We'll see. It's typically what I do. Just
typically what he does. Let's say that's what you do anyway.
Professional ass kicker.
Professional ass kicker sums it up. Like you were saying, you're finally getting to sleep in your own bed again, dude. Well, you were out in LA doing your damn thing WrestleMania weekend, just like we were, which you can check a lot of that stuff out. Go hit that subscribe button. You don't know where the hell we ended up. There were a lot of places, so go check it out over there. But like we were talking about before we hit that button, you were doing your thing with CCW down there. Tell me about WrestleMania week, how'd it go for you? How many Warheads were we dropping, and what was your overall surmise of WrestleMania weekend?
So it's good. One of the things that I did the most this time was seminars. I believe that I got to the highest levels of combat sports, or like really high level of like the next league down, by training with great coaches. So I had the opportunity to train. I've trained a lot with Josh Barnett. Both actually shoot training a lot with Josh Barnett, but a few times now I've had the opportunity to train pro wrestling with him, and it was a really good experience to go in and learn from somebody who, in my perspective, is a role model for the brand that I'm trying to bring to professional wrestling. Not that I'm trying to be Josh Barnett, but I'm seeing a guy who's been able to really blend the pro wrestling and the shoot brand and shoot background really well together. So having the opportunity to learn from coaches. So Josh Barnett was one of the coaches. I also trained with Chavo Guerrero, who's, third generation or fourth generation professional wrestler.
He's a Guerrero. He's a Guerrero, man.
Eddie Guerrero for side, and not just work side by side, but that's like his fucking nephew, So had the opportunity to train for a few hours with Chavo. And then also had the opportunity to train for a few hours with a guy named Nigel McGuinness, who just signed with AEW.
Hell yeah.
Commentator WWE NXT in the UK. And
Fucking badass from Ring of Honor and Impact.
Yeah, he's a great guy. And he really puts over catch wrestling in legitimate combat sports competition. But so each of these guys opened my mind to different things or reinforced things that I thought. And I'm the type of guy that I ask questions and so forth. Because I'm building a brand in the industry where I don't want to say the only guy doing what I'm doing, but I'm kind of trailblazing my path in there, whether it's in-ring, the way I carry myself on the internet and so forth, where I feel like hearing some stuff like from these guys and them reinforcing different things that I'm trying to do with my brand in terms of staying strong and so forth, but then like ways to work and get in and do stuff, as well as dude, some of the storytelling stuff from Nigel McGuinness was, and like match structure, like it was very educational experiences getting to train with some of these guys. I also, also wrestled while I was out in LA. I had a gauntlet match with Coast to Coast Wrestling, and I smashed 3 dudes. And so I've been telling people tap, snap, or nap. I had an open challenge. One guy came out, tapped him. Next guy came out, got a little pushy with me, got in my face. Snap, boom, broke that dude's arm. And the last guy, as you can tell, probably got the nap, pulled the hand grenade, pow, who I shout. 3 dudes in a row, just fucking knocking them down, left and right, baby. That's what I do. I was just in LA on Sunday, also jumped into a 6-man match, put 4 people away. And I just come to hurt people. Come to hurt people.
Doing work, man. And look at him now, just cooking it up now. Like it ain't nothing.
The machine, guys. He's feeding the machine, bro. I mean, he's able to feed the machine because, he's probably already paid his taxes. So if you haven't gotten your taxes together, make sure you hit up the homies at G3 Payroll and Tax. Check out the link in the description.
But yeah, so,
like that.
Fucking super busy lately. I was at NWA this past weekend in Chicago. Wrestled on the pre-show, my tag team partner Jack Stain and I against the Country Gentlemen for the NWA USA tag team titles. Unfortunately, we lost. We were beating these dudes' asses, bro. From bell to bell. And even when we lost, I got quick rolled up from behind while Champ's down on the ground, all hurt. Boom, catching. He caught me slipping. But we were beating their asses, bro. Hoping we get to run that back with them sometime soon. They were talking a lot.
That's one of the things I wanted to ask you about, though. So, like this team with Jax Dane. I mean, most everything I've seen with you, you're obviously a solo type of dude most of the time. Tell me about Jax Dane. How do you guys work as a tag team? How do you feel the dynamic is? How did that come together?
So the way I became matched up with Jax Dane was I managed in the NWA by Chris Sylvia, who's also my professional wrestling coach. Chris brought me in over there, and he manages Jax Dane as well. So they pitched the idea of Jax and I being a tag team, calling us the Savages and kind of being like a little group of fucking bad apples within the NWA and coming out and breaking the rules and fucking people up and seeing what people are going to do about it. And so I don't think there could be a better person to match me up with. That's my style. Just kicking like fuck me and welcome. I'm gonna kick in the door and fucking do what I want. Jax Dane's the same type of dude. So being matched with somebody like that, I think it makes a lot of sense in terms of us bonding. And as a rookie, I believe, like I was just saying about some of the seminars with coaching, I now have a veteran, an NWA veteran who's had every belt except the NWA USA tag team titles in my corner, coaching me, helping me on the spot, and not just helping me, but that dude's got my back. So it's been an incredible learning experience as well to be teamed up with Jax and my coach, Chris, where now we've got an incredible mouthpiece and an eyes on the outside of the ring. Because sometimes when you're in the middle of the storm, you can't see everything that's going on. That's why in MMA, we have our coaches come out with us. Chris Silvio coaches me, and he talks and manages me. So it's having a set of eyes like that, and then a set of guns, a set of eyes like Chris Silvio has, and then a set of guns like Jax Dane has behind my back or by my side. Feels good. We've been going in, been tearing things up. We just got a title shot for like I said, the NWA USA tag team titles. So we've been tearing things up, putting in work. we have lost twice, and both of those I'll take accountability for. In MMA, I'm not super worried about being pinned. I'm a catch wrestler, but at the same time, even a catch wrestling competition, you don't see much pin work. It's a lot of submission grappling with heavy emphasis on takedowns. So I've been caught a few times slipping, not paying attention, looking this way, rolled up. So twice I've gotten rolled up with me and Jackson. Those are the only 2 losses Jackson and I've had. We've been smashed. If you saw the pre-show, you saw how bad we were.
Now that you've had those wins like that,
right now.
Go ahead.
I got on right now, and he wasn't lying. From bell to bell, these guys are taking an ass whooping. I'm watching you just lay in some knees right now, dude. And you could just tell with your MMA background and everything, you could tell like you're still paying out, like you said earlier, still paying homage to professional wrestling while utilizing your MMA background. It's such a unique, like, different look for wrestling. I think it's great. But you were right. Bell to bell, just fucking brutalizing these guys.
What do you think of that arm lock transition I did?
It's looking good, man. I love it.
Went for the double wrist lock, rolled over, switched arms.
Fresh. Well, with that being said, I mean, you guys had, like he just said, you guys beat the hell out of them. You got caught slipping. Now that we come out of this, how do you guys get back to those titles? What's the game plan? Does Chris Silvio kind of got you with some evil mastermind plan to get you guys back to the belts?
I mean, there ain't no evil mastermind plan. It's hard to stop 2 dudes that are running everybody over. You know what's next? So we had tapings following NWA 312. So Jackson, I've gotten another win under our belts. And there was I had a singles match as well on there against a 7-footer, guy named Jack Tallis. I can't talk about how it went, but that's a match you're gonna want to watch. Jackson and I get back in the ring. We stay putting the hurt on people, and that's what the trick is. Ain't no mastermind plan. You can't deny greatness when we just start steamrolling all the opposition. Like, they can say what they want, but like, results.
Can't deny the results.
Can't deny results, man.
Well, something we were talking about before we went live that I thought was really interesting, now that you're working with NWA, you told us how you're a big fan of like old school wrestling, how you're a fan of guys like Dusty Rhodes, how you're a fan of like that old school style. Talk to me a little bit about that, and how does that make NWA an even better place for you to be?
So yeah, with old school, when I talk about liking an old school style and so forth, a lot of the old school professional wrestlers, it's where the term shooters came from and stuff. It's a very old school term that had to do with the guys who are really out there able to kick some ass, which is a lot of what professional wrestling was early on in its existence. And I would even say the majority of its life. It's only been the last 15, maybe 20 years that we've started to see a massive shift in believability and so forth. And obviously we know the cat's out of the bag with kayfabe and stuff. But doesn't also, in my opinion, doesn't mean we need to shit on kayfabe or piss on its grave, like. So I'm a big believer in the old school realistic style, which is what the NWA was the powerhouse brand for a very long time. They even got charged with being a monopoly, were guilty of it, and still continue to run the game, which is a really interesting story, by the way. But so a lot of these old school guys, it's more of a style I can relate to in terms of in the ring, and then personalities that I can relate to outside the ring. These guys were those guys. A lot of today's workers are not the person they portray on camera. And in my opinion, it hurts a little bit of the believability and realism, and thus entertainment value when I see that stuff. I can't say what's right or wrong. I can just say what I like or don't like. But I like the old school guys. I like when it was believable. And I like that a lot of those guys could legitimately go out and probably kick anybody's ass, Back in those days, you could see a world champion at a bar and be like, yo, that's the world champion or whatever, and look over and probably know who they're talking about. Nowadays, and I'm not trying to bash anybody or like body shame or anything, but like you look over at, and I'm not going to say every company, but like a lot of companies, you look over at their champion, and if they were like, that's champion, there's 6 people over there, like, which one? I don't think that happened in the old school days. Like, unless they were all wrestlers, but like you see a wrestler with a regular person back then. But so it's a lot of the wrestling that I've watched as well. I was a huge Ed the Strangler Lewis fan. I actually even wanted to use a headlock as my finish very early on in my career to put that over. I even broke a watermelon in a promo in a real headlock. No gimmick, no cheat.
No shit.
To like kind of start trying to put that over, which I have finished several matches with a headlock variation, like a bulldog choke. But so I don't know. I'm just going to keep rambling though. But so one of the I'm big on submission holds. Oh, I know where I'm going to go with this. I'm big on submission holds, and one of the submission holds that I've been hitting the majority of the time. Fuck yeah, it's delicious. The majority of the time, my competition has been a figure four grapevine, where I can hit it from a variety of different entries that are shoot style entries where I believe that you should be able to slap this stuff on from anywhere and anywhere, and you can be a threat to finishing matches quick or from any position. You know, I've been training jiu-jitsu for 20 years now. I get my black belt in July. I'm a big fan of applying the old school stuff. My bad. I keep getting lost in my train of thought because I'm cooking. I'm super hungry and it looks delicious, and I keep eating it. But so I'm going to set this down for a second. But so, my bad. I'm getting distracted because I'm so hungry. I'm a big fan of the old school stuff, and some of that old school knowledge. A big thing about old school martial arts and so forth, there's a lot of knowledge didn't get passed along or passed down and stuff. You know, you kind of had to be on the inside for it. Buddy Rogers, who's another old school guy, had incredible matches with Pat O'Connor way back in the black and white days, NWA world champion. He trained Lou Spector, the guy who manages me at CCW, Coastal Championship Wrestling here in Florida. And so he showed Lou a handful of stuff with the great figure four grapevine, which is what he prefers to call it, which is what Buddy Rogers preferred to call it over a figure four leg lock. So he showed me a lot of the secrets that didn't get like the small details. You train jiu-jitsu, so you know what I'm talking about. The small details on submission, there might be a little pressure this way, or slight angle of the hips, or you know, it could be a variety of different. And I don't want to mention anything specifically because I don't want people to think I'm talking about the secrets that I'm not supposed to be telling with the figure four. But you can make micro adjustments that are going to drastically
make shit hurt worse.
Exactly. And so I've been lucky enough to learn a lot of these things that Buddy Rogers had utilized with the figure four grapevine, which I think is going to give me a huge advantage over a lot of people because, and as you know, jiu-jitsu, everyone's got a guillotine, but some dude's got a fucking guillotine. I got that figure
Shout
four.
out to Garmo.
4, 5, 6 entries into it. I've only done a couple entries. I think I've done 1 or 2 entries. I think I've done 2 entries into it, but I got a whole lot more of them, you know. Been training to find ways to apply this stuff in shoot competition, professional wrestling, doesn't matter. And so it's one of the things I like about the old school stuff is I'm starting to get brought in on these old school secrets. Like a lot of Buddy Rogers knowledge is getting passed down to me for inside the ring submission grappling work. And that excites me because I'm now at NWA, which was the home of professional wrestling until like the mid to late 90s, or maybe like late 80s. But even so, it's still been a powerhouse brand. And so being able to be at a place where tradition and legacy means so much and is directly tied towards a lot of the people that I watched as like role models. Because like I've studied a lot of the greats. You want to be great, look at what the greats are doing. Figure out ways to genuinely do the same thing. Ric Flair's got Woo. I got Bang Bang. You know, Hulkster had his Hulkamaniacs. I got my Bulletproof Troopers. You know, we're like finding ways to that other people got over and make that genuine to me. It's, you know, and I'm not stealing their shit. I'm just personalizing. You know, I'm making shit work for my car, what I need it for. And so I study a lot of these old school guys. Now being at the NWA, which is a place like I watch a lot of these matches, they're old school NWA matches. Knowing that I'm inside, maybe not the same exact physical ring, but metaphorical ring is these guys that in my opinion go down in history, but sometimes they're forgotten about. You know, you hear people talk about Mount Rushmore and it's all post 80 plus wrestlers, and it's like, man, what about like there's a lot of old school guys that did a lot of shit, bro. Like Bruno Sammartino had that, you know, Roman Reigns would have to have the belt for another like 5 years to meet Bruno Sammartino's reign. You know, like there's a lot of great OGs out there to study. And so
Luthez, there's a lot of guys that people don't think about from NWA, and even if you talk about Nature Boy Buddy Rogers, but I mean, look at his successor with Ric Flair. He was the first real traveling world champion. I mean, that guy defended that motherfucker everywhere. It wasn't just I defended here at this pay-per-view. I'm defending it at all these different countries. You don't see that anymore, and against anybody. So, and the thing is, that's what's cool about NWA is it's got like the new flair. It's got a new look to it, but it's still got that old school flair. Well, speaking of NWA and stuff like that, man, we saw that Tyrus retained the title. Give me your thoughts on that NWA World Heavyweight title picture, because I feel like at some point I know you're going to be wanting to go for the 10 pounds of gold too.
So obviously, just like any other conqueror, you don't grow up dreaming of being an Intercontinental Champion or a U.S. champion or a television champion. You want to be the world champion. So absolutely, my thoughts are on that. I'm not going to get ahead of myself in terms of wanting to go after that, because one of the things I've learned is that in my crosshairs? Yes. But I got to jump on a few rocks and do a handful of things before I'm there. So is my thought process there? Absolutely. You better believe that I would love to be world champion, particularly at the NWA, which in my opinion is a real world title. Not all world. A lot of world titles ain't equal, just like in MMA. I tell people I fought for the lights out extreme fighting heavyweight title because, can you really call it a world title? The NWA title, in my opinion, you can call that a world title, It's not a regional title being called a world title. It's a legitimate world title that has that type of legacy and so forth. So absolutely, it's something I'd like to go after. Right now, I'm focused on my tag team work. I did have a singles match on the NWA tapings following the pay-per-view where I go up against 7-foot Jack Tallis. That dude is a tower. Jackson and I went against him and Daisy killing a tag team match. And then afterwards, me and Jack had a singles match. So you're going to be able to catch both of those on. I'm not sure what episodes those will be on. You just stay watching my story and you'll see when I'm posting about my matches that are going to drop.
Well, you speak about Lights Out Championship, man. I gotta ask now. So tell me about your thoughts. I know you've had to see what's happened. Did you get to see the knockout from Adesanya over Alex Pereira and what we saw in the co-main event? And if so, you got to tell me, what are your thoughts on the knockout? What are your thoughts on the aftermath with Izzy and Pereira's kid?
I'm going to start by saying Alex Pereira. So I was rooting for Alex. After seeing him win 3 times, I thought that he had Izzy's phone number. And Izzy was going to have to fight a drastically different style fight in order, not drastically, but I thought he would have needed to threaten a lot of takedown attempts and get Pereira to play MMA now and pull him out of the kickboxing game. Because clearly, if it's been twice in kickboxing, UFC, he's knocked him out. Like, dude, he's got your number on the striking a little bit. And sometimes that happens with different guys where, like, dude, one guy might be beating everybody's asses and then somebody else has his number who's, but so I thought he had his number. I thought we were going to see a lot more takedown and other things to help open Izzy's striking up and to slow down Pereira. More so probably to slow down and confuse Pereira and open up stuff later. Because Pereira just swings for the fences, bro. And I think if you can get a guy who is very heavy kickboxing emphasis to start worrying about his feet and being taken down, he's going to start being a lot more gun shy. And I thought that's how we would see Izzy start to get the better of Pereira.
Yeah, I was surprised with the way everything played out.
He wants to hurt people when he comes out swinging, looking for the knockout. Mm-hmm. And so,
but do you think he was too antsy in this fight, though? Do you think he was too antsy in this fight, though? Because if you notice, I mean, in this fight, he started a lot quicker than the last fight. And we saw how that played out. Do you think that almost was to his detriment, this fight?
I don't know. I think he's a guy who likes to get into the action and not fuck around and wait. So I think he was confident going into the matchup, and I think he was ready to fight and immediately get up in Izzy's face before Izzy could start dancing or playing games or get any more comfortable. I'm going to come out and get right in this dude's face, and we're going to be in the middle of a fist fight. So I'm not mad at that. I come out hot every time. I prefer to come out hot. Awesome. Boots done. So I thought Izzy was going to have a different game plan, but to see him, like I said, you live by the gun, you play by the gun. Izzy didn't have to do much different. He just had to wait for his opening. And once Pereira does get a guy against the cage like that and starts to unload, if they can get through a few punches, they do have that opportunity to counter strike. Right? You could see how low Pereira's hands were there. The thing is, the dude hits like a Mack truck. Mm-hmm. So, he probably hits you with one or two of those punches before then to throw back, or the dude's too, scared. Izzy's a smart dude and would probably watched a lot of that, was going to wait to get there because he was shelled up nicely, took a few shots, but he was protected and then found his opening there. So I was impressed by that. I didn't see the co-main event. I only watched the main event. But yeah, I was surprised. Izzy and Pereira's kid. So if out of context, all I saw was him do that to the kid, I would think he was such an asshole. But knowing that little shit did that to him, fucking however.
And when he was out cold,
fuck them kids.
Yeah. Look, man, all is fair in love and war. You ain't hurting the kid. You ain't putting your hands on the kid. But don't try to make an ass of me. You know what I mean? So I was
that motherfucker get asked for it.
That's his fault. He's gonna learn. He's gonna learn.
Pereira can only.
I can't argue that, dude, because everybody's he's just a kid, but I'm like, dude, but your dad's a fighter, so I feel like you know that shit, and
fuck them kids.
He
that's
said,
a way to learn sportsmanship right there.
I mean, fuck around and find out, dude.
I thought Ariel Helwani summarized it up real. I thought Helwani summarized it up real good when he said the fact that Pereira was basically reposting that clip just a couple months back, kind of makes it seem as though he's okay with it. And if you're okay with your kid doing that, then fuck yeah, free reigns to get him back. It is what it is.
I agree.
I mean, I'd have been shit out of that if I was him too. I wouldn't have been proud of my kid, but I'd have been like, we're making money off this kid.
Right. Well, what are your thoughts on the retirement of another Floridian, Mr. 305, Jorge Masvidal, as he retired after his fight?
That's right. I did hear about this. When I was co-main event, I couldn't even think of who it was because I didn't watch it. I'm not surprised.
Masvidal and Gilbert Burns.
I think it was a smart thing for him to do. I think that he's done the most of the stuff he's going to do in his career. And now he can focus on other business ventures. Probably gets out of his UFC contract, which probably makes it easier for him to do different types of business.
He'll still be tied with him with Game Bread, though.
Yeah. But at the same time, like I just said, I'm a Jorge Masvidal fan, but I don't really care to watch him go against top guys. I don't think he's amazing. He's fun to watch. Put him in a super fight with the Conor McGregor or Diaz. I'd be down to watch him, just like the Legends League. I'd be down to watch him fight some specific guys. But, in terms of trying to get to the belt, I just think that there's too good of guys at that level of competition right now. Which Gilbert Burns, I'm not surprised at all that Gilbert Burns beat him with the decision. Gilbert Burns is fucking good.
Oh, he's a monster.
They said he's got the next title shot, man. So,
as he should.
I'm not mad at it, but I still feel like they need to put some respect on Bilal Muhammad's name. If he fucking beats Rachmanov, can we just stop skipping Bilal Muhammad? That's all I'm asking. The man's on a fucking 8-fight win streak. He's on a 4-year win streak. Son of a bitch.
Yeah. They're already lining up 2 fights in a row. They're going Colby and then possibly Burns. So it's they're talking a year out probably. And Leon Edwards just came out, if I'm not mistaken, it was today, if not yesterday, saying he's not going to be main eventing for London. So that pushes the fight back even more. So if that's you got to feel for your boy, that's for sure.
Yeah, man. Come on.
I know whose Cheerios that dude pissing because he fucking pissed somebody off.
Something must have happened because he's like the best guy with no title shot. It's ridiculous at this point.
And he fucking looked great. And they tried to send him in there with the young buck, Sean Brady, that they thought was just going to kill him off. And what happened? Not only did he beat him, he fucking finished him.
Yeah, Blumhouse.
Like, I don't know, man.
Wait, does Bilal have a? You said he's taking on Rachmanov next?
Yeah, he's got to fight Rachmanov next. That's his next.
That'd be a good fight. That'd be a good fight. But that finishing that
would,
right? Rachmanov's undefeated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could be a good title defense if Bilal won the title, but to
Shutting
make
him
him fight
down
it beforehand.
Close a lot of mouths, though. I think at that point, how do you even?
Well, you just thought this one did. I mean, shit. He's ranked number 2, and they're making him fight number 10. Why is he fighting that far down?
Well, like Troop said, he must have pissed in somebody's Cheerios, man. Because give me another reason.
It wasn't fettuccine Alfredo. If he would have gave him fettuccine Alfredo, the motherfucker would have got a title shot. That's what it is. We have discovered it on knockouts and 3 counts. If he'd have gave him fettuccine Alfredo, dude would be in the fucking money. Well, before we get off, go ahead. Before we get off the UFC topic, though, I had to get your thoughts because we got another big fight this weekend. Even though it's on a fight night, I am looking forward to seeing this one because I'm a little biased. I'm just a fan of fucking Max Holloway. So, damn, they've actually got a few good fights on here. So you got Max Holloway, Arnold Allen. You got Edson Barboza versus Billy Quarantillo, Dustin Jacoby and Mirzakhanov. They got a few good, and then Clay Guida is always fun to watch fight. There's a few that'll be all right. But give me your thoughts, man. I know you've watched plenty of Max Holloway, and we've seen Arnold Allen kind of fight his way up here. What do you think's going to happen for Max Holloway? Do you think he gets this last win and kind of caps off maybe another stake to maybe go for that number 1 contendership again?
I think Max Holloway's a tough guy to bet against because, dude, Hawaiians are as tough as they come. And they're a fighting culture. I'm going to put my money on Max with it. I don't know a ton about his opponent. I haven't been watching a whole lot of fighting, but so focused on professional wrestling. But, man, Max Holloway is a fucking killer with amazing hands, amazing conditioning, will to fight, like tough as nails, great grappling, too. I think underrated grappling.
Yeah.
Dude, I thought he won the second fight with Volkanovski. I was surprised he didn't.
I did, too.
I think that we're going to see him get another title shot not too long.
I think he's fighting up. Go ahead.
And he's fun to watch.
Incredibly fun to watch. Yeah.
I got to watch him fight Aldo here in Detroit.
That's dope.
It's a real bounce back opportunity, that's for sure. But it's also a huge opportunity for somebody like Arnold Allen, who really kind of has made his huge flash in the pan onto the scene with that win over Dan Hooker, and has done nothing but good work since. And it's a real opportunity, man. But it's an opportunity for both of them, like you say, for Holloway to work his way back potentially to that title bout, and for Arnold Allen to continue to get that recognition that he's starting to earn. I really do love this matchup, man. It's one of the best ones I think they can do at 145 right now.
One thing I will say, fighting is not old man's game. The older you get, the faster things change, the way of thinking, and people's ability, and almost most importantly, people's ability to blend things together, which is what I think the future is. Because it's like, you can specialize your boxing, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, whatever. Kids grow up with MMA now, where it's all together.
There's kids fighting MMA.
Bro, isn't it wild, some of these little killers that you see, and I'm watching
dude, when they're 6 years old and this kid just walks up and head kicks this motherfucker, shoots in and dumps the kid on his head. Well, bam. It's just son of a bitch, man. It's definitely a dope one, dude. What do you got any thoughts on the co-main we got for this weekend? Because Edson Barboza and Billy Quarantillo is going to be a banger as well.
Like I said, I haven't really been keeping up on that, so I'm not even sure who the second guy is. But Edson Barboza is another guy that comes out and fucking bangs. Incredible striking. You know, they used one of his knockouts for a really long time on like Ultimate Knockouts, where he did like spinning back kick and hit the dude and like,
Yep.
Terry
Adams.
That's a forever clip.
He just has, and not just that, but flashiness and ability. Like, there's some fighters where you just can't stop watching the TV because you look down at text and it might be the end of the fight, you know? So, like, he's one of those guys. Like, especially for finishing dudes. He might have been up in, like, I know he has, like, double-digit knockouts in the UFC, or maybe, like, fight of the night bonuses.
He's up there in the top 3 or 4, I believe, as far as most knockouts in the UFC.
He's another guy, but at the same time, he's been in the UFC now for what, 7-8 years? Like,
long.
I'm not bashing guys that like get into 24. Now you're 31. You're going against kids that are like 22, 23, in like an athletic prime. Please.
Okay. I was asking.
I took him when I got back from the grocery store, but you can take him out. My bad.
So you're good, man. But you mentioned his name earlier. I had to see what your thoughts are because I have different thoughts. All right. After seeing his brother at WrestleMania and seeing Jake show up when they did at the Saudi show, now that they've announced Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz, I mean, I'm still looking forward to seeing it, although I don't feel like it's as hot now that he lost. But what are your thoughts on that fight? And I don't know, man. I feel like he should look at maybe following his brother Logan over to WWE if the shit don't work out.
So my thoughts on it. I think that Logan Paul is not trying to necessarily be a competitive boxer. I think Logan Paul is an entertainer trying to sell pay-per-views and tickets and build hype. In terms of
you mean Jake or Logan? Jake's the one still boxing.
The fighter. Jake boxes, right?
Jake. Yeah.
Yes. The guy's an entertainer, you know, like he's there to sell events and so forth. He's doing a fantastic job of that. And early on, I didn't give him the credit that he's probably deserves, that I see that he deserves now in terms of his fight ability. But that dude is dedicated. He trains in LA with a handful of people that I know. The dude really puts in work. And you can see him continuing to get better and better when he's performing inside of the ring. Coming off a loss to Fury. I haven't watched the match. But
he got outboxed.
Which doesn't surprise me. You know, the amount of boxing experience that Fury has, even though like people want to bash the people he fights, sometimes you don't know who the fuck you're fighting. You know, like I fought at shows where the guy, and it wasn't sanctioned, the guy you're supposed to fight didn't show up. I'm like, do you want us to get you somebody else? Like, yes, I got fucking 100 people in the crowd. Yes, I need to fight somebody.
The only time I got knocked out was because of some shit like that. Damn it.
But do people want to bash Fury's record? But that kind of comes from a fighting family. Tyson Fury, the world champion, who's as legit of a world champion and boss as you can get in boxing, is his family. You know, like he's been around it for a really long time, and I think almost always experience is the best thing you can have. But then again, when it starts coming in, when you start talking about a guy's age, like this is why you talk about fight IQ. I think fight IQ is the single most important thing a fighter can have. Yeah, strong, fast, conditioning, yeah, blah, blah, blah. But like, if you know what the fuck to do, you know, like being good is the best thing you can be. At the same time, being athletic is fucking super important, you know, like. But so the experience that Tommy Fury had over Jake, like, it was bound to happen sooner or later because Jake's taking tough fights. People don't want to give him the credit. Like, okay, I can understand Ben Askren. Dude, he fought Woodley twice. Woodley knocked out Robbie Lawler. Like,
no shit.
Yeah. The greatest of all time, Anderson Silva, man. I mean,
yeah, you know, but so exactly
different Anderson Silva, but
people and like, bro, he gave Anderson a fight. Like, it was, it was more, in my opinion, exhibition than fucking a crazy ass fight. Like, I think they're trying to finish each other a little more. But at the same time, people aren't necessarily looking for the finisher. They're watching the Jake show, you know, the Jake Paul show, which I think guys doing a fantastic job of that. And like people can sit there and hate on the dude, like, well, why is he making all this money and blah, not even a real boxer, blah, 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 blah. Like, y'all just talking shit because you ain't paid like Jake. Jake's making fucking money hand over fist. But people want to talk shit because he adds entertainment value. It's exactly what I've done with Bulletproof Troop. And then like people want to be like, oh, he's special treatment. Like, motherfucker, all you gotta do is go create a brand. Like, ain't no secret to it. I'll tell you how it happened. You know, like, go fucking be entertaining. Create a brand around your shit. Like,
well, you talk about entertaining, bro. Nate, you can't really get much more entertaining over the last 10, 15 years than Nate Diaz in MMA. How do you think Jake does against Nate? Do you think Nate's got it in him to finish him off?
You know, I think, yes. I think if Nate finishes him, it'll be in rounds. I don't know if you fight 8 rounds or 10 rounds or 12 rounds.
8.
8, yeah, right.
8.
Yeah, smart. I was going to say, if he goes past 8, fucking it's Nate's. So, even so, we've seen Jake slow down a little bit, and I think that's one of the other things with experience is being able to utilize that gas tank appropriately, which he's probably getting better at as well as he pushes it and gets himself to there. Because every time he's had a fight now, he's probably pushed his cardio to a new level. Because we know Nate's going to come in and stay in his pace and not let him breathe and have high volume output. Is Jake going to be able to hold his ground and fire back, or is Jake going to just start getting touched and panicking? Is he going to run? You know, like, what's going to happen? Because we know what Nate's going to do. The question is, what's Jake going to do? How's Jake going to react to Nate? Because Nate's established. We know what the fuck Nate's going to do. Is how's Jake going to be able to handle that? Is he going to try and move out and outbox him? I think he's going to fucking hunker down in the pocket and fucking bang. And I think he might even put Nate down. It's a little bigger, probably hits a little harder. Nate's a high volume guy who just touch. Yeah. Jake fucking swings, bro. And if he gets inside the pocket, you know, Nate starts touching him. He comes in here, and that's what and if he's been just drilling this and working this, bro, like, I don't think it's as easy a fight for Nate Diaz as people want to say it is, you know. And I'm also putting.
He frozen.
He'll be back. But I think you made a good point there, Kyle, that we are looking at like two different styles here. Nate's going to touch him a lot, may not even knock him down, but Jake swings for the fences, man. He very well could, one good punch.
Well, I don't think by any means that I'm not trying to say by any means that he's going to just run through Nate, because I don't think that, because quite frankly, the fact that Nate's taken so many shots and Jake's only real way to win is a power shot, that worries me. That being said, can Nate swarm his ass like Troop was saying?
Or if need be, survive one of those shots, you know.
I think experience is going to come into play too, because Nate's been in wars, man. We've seen that. And Jake is still, while he's had a few fights now, he's still kind of finding his groove in the combat sports world. So it could be something completely different for Jake Paul. You know what I mean? Maybe he goes out there and puts a whooping on Nate Diaz and he just doesn't go down. You know, how does he react to that? Stuff like that. You know, so there's a lot of factors that play into that fight, which is going to be entertaining though. Same night as SummerSlam, Kyle. So we're going to have to figure that part out, but it's going to work out, man. I'm pumped for that fight.
And another thing I wonder is, how does Nate – I know Nate's style in MMA as of probably his last 10-plus fights have basically been boxing, but in an MMA fashion. But what does it actually transition to in an actual boxing ring with boxing gloves? Is he able to work his defense properly? Is he able to bob and weave out there, or is he just going to be trying to use hands?
Nate can box. Let's not get it twisted. He can box, but the thing is, he just doesn't have pop like that.
Well, he's also unproven too, right? Like, he's proven in an octagon setting, but he's not necessarily proven with like all the other factors that go into a boxing, match. There is genuine differences. Yeah.
I agree with that, but the only thing I would say in counter to that is most of the fighters that Jake's fought have all been MMA guys, and those have been the ones that Jake has outboxed. So now here he's boxing another MMA guy. And if we're talking about the best boxers out of the MMA guys, well, Nate Diaz can box his ass off. He ain't going to knock you out probably unless it's late.
Yeah.
But he's going to throw a shit ton of punches and have that shit in your face at all times. So
that's another question that we might have to ask later on is how is Nate going to react to those later rounds if it gets there? Because Corey, like you said, we've seen him in that MMA setting. It's just different, man. Everything's different. So there's a lot of questions in that fight, but dude, that's going to be great. I'm so excited for that fight. We finally got it, right? I feel like we were talking about this, 6-7 months ago. I was like, is this ever going to happen?
I just feel like they waited too long on this one because now that he lost, I feel like it's not.
I agree.
It lost a lot of that. Even when because I hadn't originally seen the announcement, I'd just seen what you tagged me in, J-Bone, and even then I was like, cool. Before it would have been more than just a cool feeling.
Yeah,
it
just doesn't have that same effect because it's always you want the first guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Definitely lost some of its luster. He had to smash the Alfredo real quick.
Bro, my phone died, and I was like talking, and then I looked over, and it was gone. I was like, oh, whoops.
These things happen.
It's all good. We were just talking about all the stuff with Jake and Nate, and I was just saying how, Corey was saying that we haven't gotten to see Nate box so much in a boxing setting, but I said, here's the thing, though. You got to remember, all the guys that Jake's looked good against are MMA boxers, and Nate's looked okay as a boxer in MMA. So I would venture to say that he'll do okay in the just straight boxing aspect. I think what it comes down to is, can Nate not get caught by a shot by Jake and take Jake deep enough that Nate can put him away? Because Nate doesn't have one punch power. I think if he knocks him out or beats him, it's going to be later in the fight or as a decision. So I just feel like for that to happen, he's got to just avoid getting hit.
Yeah. So I wouldn't disagree with that, but at the same time, a lot of these people realize this is an entertainment fight. How are they going to score that? Not only that, but I think any round that you don't take from Jake is going to be Jake's round. But I don't know. That's fighting, bro. What if? I definitely agree that the biggest threat that Nate has towards Jake is conditioning. And if he can make Jake hit the gas enough during the earlier rounds, especially, but I don't even necessarily say it's always to hit the gas. The thing is, Nate stays on a guy so you can't breathe. Not that you're expending a ton of energy, but you're staying tight because you always got a dude in your face or you're throwing back and getting touched. Where now you're tightening up, and then it starts getting in a guy's head. And once they start getting in their head too, and you're not on cruise control, you just start burning through. I think you fatigue way faster when you're frustrated than if you're just in there.
Yeah. If you can get him to waste punches,
making you uncomfortable. I think that it's the fastest way to burn a guy's energy out.
If he can get him to waste punches, man, his gas tank I think is going to go pretty fast. If he can get him to waste those punches.
I'm interested to see what the weights are and if there's any rehydration clause. Because I want to say that Jake's probably bigger. What are you weighing against Anderson at? Were they 200 pounds or something?
I believe it was 187 or some shit.
190 or so. Well, yeah, between 185
and
and 190.
was right in there between 185 and 190.
So what's Nate want to fight at now? Because Nate probably walks around 180-ish. He doesn't look like he cuts a ton of weight. Maybe even less than that. He could even, because he's fought, 55 most at some 170.
And 72, and he said he didn't cut.
Jake's probably coming down from over, too. Jake's looking stacked. But at the same time, Jake is looking stacked, but you want to add that much horsepower to the engine. When we know Nate's got a gas tank, and we know that that's something, it's not even a question. Nate's going to come out and he's going to get in your face. He's going to continue to try and high volume output hit you and stay in your shit and laugh at you and try and get you frustrated and get you to blow through your gas tank. That's exactly. And especially with the mind games in the ring, like a slap, pointing and laughing, giving, you can't do as much of that with boxing glove on. But that's the type of shit to take a guy out of his game. I think it should be a very entertaining matchup. Fight, I think it'll be fun to watch. I'm gonna watch it. I haven't watched the last. I didn't watch the last two live, but I would watch that. And I think Jake Paul is great for the sport because I think a lot of people are like, wow, I could potentially go in and do that. I could train for a few years and be a world champion. I'm I think people are underestimating the amount of input it takes, but I think the regular person can kind of relate with Jake. And something else, I did not like Jake early on. I was like, fuck this fool, blah, blah, blah. That dude has single-handedly almost done more for MMA fighters than any other motherfucker out here, and he's never even fought in a fucking cage.
That's true.
Like, he's
Yeah.
like, all right, I'll come
Well,
fight you.
tell me what you think about that, though. So, I mean, he also said that his MMA debut is going to be coming soon for PFL. What do you think he ever ends up getting in a PFL cage?
Oh, 100%. I bet you that's the next massive step. It wouldn't surprise me if he got ownership in the company to potentially come.
He's got stake in the company, doesn't he, Corey?
Yeah, if I'm not the way the deal works out is basically the PFL was already looking to open a pay-per-view division where they would run 4 times a year they would run pay-per-views.
Yeah.
It seems like this process is kind of getting drug out a little bit at this point with the whole signing of Jake Paul and stuff, but they brought him to basically usher in that pay-per-view division, and he gets majority stake in it. And if I'm not mistaken, it's a 50-50 split between the company and the competitors on the night. So any money that does get made definitely goes back to the fighters. So to your point, he's not only helping himself, but he's, doing well for the guys out there. And that's really what matters.
Yeah, I think it's going to take somebody big to come in and start changing things. And I think a lot of the guys who get big within the sport are kind of like, I'm going to shut the fuck up because y'all fucking blessed me, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to be one of the people that jumps on board with it.
Yeah.
And I think those people then stay quiet where you get a Jake Paul who's got his own money and this and that. Or was even how willing would he? Because he's like Dana White, if you'll give all the fighters free healthcare and blah, 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 I'll come fight in the UFC for free. And you start thinking like, damn, how much money is that dude potentially missing out on to help the fighters, like, is he really willing to do it?
And we've heard from boxers that, our guy Ken Robles out of New York, training with the Serrano sisters, who's managed by Jake Paul.
Yeah.
And talks about the way he saw Jake treat her, and like the one chick from the UFC that couldn't pay for her camp, and he paid for her camp or whatever it was. Like, I mean, there's things that the guy does that you can't deny. I do think that he's doing a lot of good for MMA because I think obviously we can all see that there needs to be a little bit of change, but I'm still interested to see what happens once he gets in that MMA cage.
And he does a great job with it too. Not only, like you say, like the way he contributes and stuff, but he plays it in like a wrestling way, right? Where he like makes it like his goals and aspirations through helping these people are still very well known. It's like still like the 2 point of this conversation is, yeah, I'm helping so-and-so UFC fighter, but it's because these lower end fighters don't make enough. Or it's like, the Serrano thing, like, of course he's helping. He's gained such validity from having somebody like her basically working in conjunction with each other. I mean, they've put on already massive pay-per-views and stuff. And of course, having her name to it attached to it, I feel like does nothing but help his brand. So being like he does a really good job of like putting it out there, but also helping himself in the long term. So he really does a great job. I in the beginning, like you said, Troop, I agree with you completely. I was not a fan. I was like, oh, he's just in here to make a quick buck, and dude thinks he can train. He's gonna get his ass kicked. He's shown that he may have lost a fight, but he's bouncing right back. He's taking on somebody who's another stiff competition, somebody that people want to see him take on. And he's doing it in his own way. And honestly, I think it's...
And he's getting fucking paid.
Getting paid.
Yeah, it's not...
He's getting paid, and he's showing people the blueprint on how to build interest on their matchups and so forth, and be an entertainer within combat sports, because he's an entertainer who came to combat sports. And like, people ought to be taking notes because the dude's making money and doing big things within the sport and so forth. I think his MMA career will look a lot like his boxing career. I think he'll get the right matchups early. Then he'll get some slightly tougher guys. And then when we see him fight a dude, we're kind of like, damn, I think that'll be one of the guys who loses to first. But I expect him to be fully prepared when he gets inside of a mixed martial arts cage.
I would really imagine so, man.
With the PFL thing, what the opponents end up looking like, because they tried that route with the Clarissa Shields, since you brought her up previously. And I think to that point, they kind of put that on the back burner because they feel as though They need to, like you say, build these guys up correctly, and with the
But Clarissa still want to fight
lack
too,
of
though.
roster. Oh yeah, I'm not shitting on Clarissa or anything in that.
No,
I'm
I
just
know you're
saying,
not.
like,
I'm just saying, like he
they
may
just
fight a
they don't.
tomato
What
can.
I'm saying, they don't have the depth of roster to just be able to dig these guys up. So I feel like they have to almost sign somebody that ends up being a solid B-side. So the competition may be stiffer than maybe you originally think in the beginning, is what I was kind of getting at there.
I get you. That makes sense.
Hey, wait,
Either way,
initially,
dude.
wasn't there a deal or something where he mentioned he was going to take on Nate Diaz in a boxing ring and then an MMA style
Well, yeah,
fight?
he
too?
said if Nate would fight him in a boxing ring first, then he would fight him in an MMA cage.
I wonder if that. I mean, that
He's a
could
free agent.
potentially. Yeah,
Maybe that's the
He
first.
could show up in PFL and fight him.
That'd be pretty cool.
Take my money. That's what it comes
Fuck yeah.
down to.
Then
Right?
you give me something I want to see on PFL. Shout out to past guest Catherine Koraginas doing her thing over there in PFL, coming out of Thailand. But dude, I know you've already smashed your food. You've let us know what's going down with you and Jack Dane in the NWA. Do you got anything else you want to let everybody know before we let you get out of here, brother man?
Yeah, it ain't too late to jump on the Bulletproof Troop hype train. 2023, I will continue to steamroll over everybody they put in my path in whatever state, whatever city, whatever promotion. It doesn't matter. You can expect Bulletproof Troop like you can expect Jesus, baby. Tap, snap, or nap. Hi, shout.
You heard the man. Hit that subscribe button. Peace.
Yeah, appreciate y'all. Thanks for having me on.